Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. And today I welcome a couple of interesting guests and exciting guests I'm excited to talk to. So I welcome Bernie and Carmen today. And we're going to be talking about things around astrology, which I'm so interested to learn more about. So just a quick introduction to Bernie. So Bernie has been an astrological consultant for individuals and businesses for over 30 years. The intention has always been to offer people expanded insight into their present life and future life experiences. Bernie encourages you to explore astrolo- astrological services. Struggling with that word today. Bernie's most recent released book is Sun Sign Karma, Resolving Past Life Patterns with Astrology. It doesn't matter if you are new to astrology or a seasoned veteran, you will find something of interest and great value in here. And I welcome Carmen, of course, who is your co-author today. So welcome both to the show. Glad to have you on here. First of all, be really interesting just for maybe the complete beginner. What is astrology? And how did you both get into it?
Sure. Carmen, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Mhm.
Um,
So let's see. It all started when I was 16 years old, really, when I got into astrology. I had a mysterious experience with a glowing ball of light in my doorway when I was 16 and could not explain that experience. And luckily, my mother saw it too, so she believed me. In the middle of the night, it was like an orb glowing and floating in my doorway. And I started researching angels and I got my first astrology book that year. I was a senior in high school. It was 1993, and I read about my sun sign Virgo, and I was obsessed. It validated my personality on such a deep level. I wanted to learn more because I wanted to be a therapist. I'm actually a licensed clinical social worker, and I've worked with trauma survivors for over 30 years, but I've always used astrology in my work as a counselor because it's a tool of self-awareness. And I became obsessed in 93, and I've been doing astrology consultations and writing books ever since. It's been my passion. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
For myself, I actually I was in a bookstore one day, excuse me, in 1973, and I discovered a book by a Frenchman, Dane Rudyard, and I was just totally hooked. I took a lot of psychology in college. Excuse me. And I thought astrology was just the perfect fit for me. Um, And when you ask what is astrology, when you get a chart done, it's like a blueprint of who we are. It describes us in just so many ways. Our psychological nature, our creativity. You can look up careers, your personality. And the latest book is really the one Carmen and I have done, Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon, published in London. And in that book, it's a lot of, you could say, past life themes that can come up for a person. And we help identify them that correlate to your sun sign. And if you get a whole chart done, you'll see there's these houses also. So we go through the whole thing about the signs and the houses for your particular setup with those nodes of the moon. The nodes of the moon aren't that confusing. What they are is a polarity that really describes to Carmen and I what pulls us into this incarnation, like what brought us here in the first place. And they really are very illuminating when you find out what your particular nodes of the moon are. When Carmen and I started writing this book, I had never co-authored a book in my life, and I've written a lot of books, but we just meshed so well, and it was really interesting to find out the nodes of the moon are always opposite each other. I have the north node in Taurus, the south node in Scorpio. She has just the opposite, the flip, and it was just amazing to write together the sections we chose. Um, just a wonderful experience. Even our new book, Astrology, Zodiac Archetypes, is also being published by the same publisher in London, coming out in November. And it's another book that identifies past life themes. And you may wonder, why do you need to know about your past lives? I don't dwell on them. I just say there's certain things we bring in that can be really positive. Maybe you were a very creative person before in art or music, a writer, or just whatever field that would be in. Um, you may see certain themes that show how you can tap into it again. Maybe you've already done it. For me, when I got into astrology, I honestly felt like I was walking back into something I'd already done before. And
Mm.
I was really grateful for that because I picked it up really quick. Not everybody does. Sometimes it can take a good while to learn how to be an astrologer. So astrology is really an interesting way to find out about yourself, is probably the easiest way to say it. And sometimes people, when they get a chart done for the first time, are totally amazed what's in one. It's like a vast ecosystem when you get a chart done based on your month, day, year of birth, your longitude and latitude, and where you were born, city, state, country. So there's so much in it. We could talk probably for a long, long time. So I know
It's
you have some questions. You said to start this, so I don't want to blab on and on.
No,
yeah,
I'm happy to get go with what I'm hearing. Yeah, go ahead, Carmen.
like an easy way I explain it, like if people have never seen a birth chart and they're like, what the heck is astrology? And I don't know what this means. It's kind of like he said, at the moment, time, place of your birth, all of the planets are in a certain star constellation, which are the 12 signs, and they're all in a certain area of the sky. So it's like on that exact moment of your birth, if you're looking up at the sky and we take a picture of the sky and put it on a piece of paper, it's a wheel. And we cut that wheel into 12 sections, which are the houses, which represent different areas of life: health, home and family, relationships, career, travel, and we see where are the planets at in the area of the sky, what sign are they in, and we analyze that. That's what we call the map of your soul. So even twins that are born exactly the same place, time, date, everything can have a slightly different emotional nature if the moon sign is different, which can change every 2 to 3 days, or the rising sign, which changes every 2 hours. So the time of birth is really important of getting an accurate wheel. And in that wheel, the nodes of the moon that Bernie was talking about look like headphones, like horseshoe. And that north node is like headphones, and that's your past, that's your future life, your soul mission this lifetime. And that south node is always opposite, an opposite sign, opposite house in the wheel, your birth wheel, which never changes. And that's your past lives, what your soul brought in. So it's kind of like we chose to come into this realm at that exact time, place, and moment to match our karma and to do our destiny. So it's like there's a reason we chose to be born when we were, and to the parents we're born to, and all those things. And so it's like Bernie said, some people are born with natural artistic abilities where they can draw and paint and sing and all these things. But that may be from the past lives that they have those talents and strengths. And this life, they may be
Mm.
learning to be a family person and to raise children and to be a parent or a spouse or be a caretaker. So, we all have a certain destiny that we're here to learn. And that is the node of the moon, the nodes of the moon, balancing that north node and south node, using our strengths to master where our soul wants to learn and go this lifetime. And that's what our book, Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon, about. But the basic birth chart never changes. It's that blueprint. Just like we all have a different fingerprint, that is your soul's personality, how you think, how you love, how you compete, what kind of careers you're drawn to, what kind of people are you attracted to. All of those
Mm.
things Bernie and I can see in someone's natal chart. Those patterns, it's energy. Astrology is energy. That's pretty much what it is. And we interpret it in a psychological way. And what we tell people, Bernie can probably agree, we just validate what you already know about yourself. You're like, how did you know that? All my clients, I'm like, it's your chart, it's you, and I'm just analyzing it. It's a science. We're not doing tarot cards or channeling different spirits. We are analyzing the energy that the planets in astronomy. It's very scientific. It's been around since ancient times, and we use it as a tool of self-awareness. And that's really what we do, is to help people know there's a purpose of life, you have a destiny, and everything that's going on, we can help give you tips and validate why you feel the way you do. Why are certain things affecting you? That's a transit chart, which we look at. That we take a picture of the sky right now, put it on top of that birth wheel, and we can see what planets are transiting every area of your life, whether it's your home and family, your health, your marriage, and you're, oh, that makes sense. I'm being challenged in my marriage. I have Pluto in my seventh house transit, and I do this Bernie and I do this in sessions, and it just validates what people already are experiencing. And it's a tool, like in the therapist toolbox, so to speak. I've always had it as a tool to pull out, just like I have, mindfulness exercises, breathing techniques, cognitive behavior therapy. It's the same kind of a psychological tool that, to me, is more powerful than any kind of therapy tool. And that's why I think Bernie and I both love Carl Jung. And, in our new book, we're going to talk a little bit about the archetypes, his 12 archetypes, and how they're similar to the 12 zodiac signs. That's going to be in our new book, Astrology Zodiac Archetypes. So, and connecting that with past life patterns and energies and things. So, I always try to explain it like that. It's like so people understand it. How do you get the wheel? And it's all these symbols. It's really a picture of the sky, at the moment, time, place of birth.
Yes. Boy, well said. Yeah. Yeah. That's something I realized right away. Um, when I started exploring my own chart, I wonder why I was so shy growing up. I, I just never understood it. And then when I moved down south in the United States, it changed everything. There's something called relocation astrology. You can actually set up the chart for where you now live. And it really changed my whole setup in a more flowing way for me. I just felt like I was at home here where I am now. And there's so many techniques now available to people that want to practice this. I've just been doing it a long time, and I don't use every single technique because sooner or later you start to gravitate toward what works for you. I'm very intuitive. I trust my intuition. I know Carmen is. And that's also part of doing something like this, um, to just tune in to what is important in another person's life when they come to see me, when I'm working with them. What do they want out of this? And sometimes I just kind of get the feel in a 1 hour session what might be the most important thing to cover if they don't have too many questions. Sometimes people have real specific questions, especially when they hit a certain age. There's something called a Saturn return. I know we're covering a lot, but sometimes people will contact me around the age 29 and 30. That's called a Saturn return. And a lot of times people are trying to redefine their life at that point. They want to know what kind of relationship is best for them. What kind of work should I be doing? Where should I live? What kind of location is best for me? That cycle repeats about the age of 58 or 59. There's a lot of cycles. I'm only covering a couple right here. 2025, this year, um, I've been doing this a long time. I've never seen so many outer planets changing signs in 1 year. So it's bringing stuff up for people.
Yeah.
I'm finding that people are tapping into a lot of past life themes in their life right now. Um, a lot of times, I'm just confirming it a lot of times. It's amazing. Sometimes people know already, they start to sense what direction they want to go in, and they'll come and ask me, and I'm looking at the current time period, like Carmen was saying, you compare it to your birth chart, and it's like, wow, you picked the perfect time to do this. Or maybe it should be in 6 months if you're really going to launch something.
Mhm.
Um, so sometimes the timing is really important for people. And I'm often asked, is this the best time to make this move? And I'm trying to help them find that time period where maybe it is. I don't want to tell them to wait if they really are that intense about going forward, but maybe it's in another 6 weeks or 2 months that would be better. So there's so many different ways to use this, which um, it brings out my passion. It did starting years ago. And I think that's what happens when you get into something and you just love doing it. And I think that's why people want to come see either one of us because they know we love what we're doing. We're not trying to judge them. We're not trying to push them in any direction. We're just trying to help guide them in whatever direction they're trying to go in. But there's a certain counseling part of this too, where you just want to be careful where your own boundaries are when you're trying to help somebody. So it's just been a wonderful journey for both of us in listening to Carmen over the time I've known her. So it's just a wonderful frontier to be in right now. But what I said about this year, there's so many different cycles people can hop on for creativity. There's not just one. When I did a talk a while back for a public group by Zoom, I talked about 6 portals you can walk through in 2025, and I named them as I went on throughout the year. And that's another way you can use this to just even talk about a year if you can interpret it. But both of us have a lot of experience in doing that. So it's just another thing you can do with this. I'm just trying to talk about just a few different things you can do with it.
Mm.
Yeah.
I When I first looked at charts way back in the 1970s, I really felt I wasn't looking at the chart of just this lifetime for a person or myself. I didn't know if it was every lifetime it represented. It could just be a group of them. Maybe you came in to really work on, like a certain patterns of sorts. There's a book called The Seat of the Soul. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but I have it, and came out several years ago. I think it was Gary Zukov that wrote that book. And he said, one thing I liked that he said in there, he said, if you conquer a past life pattern in this chart, even if it's followed you in lifetime after lifetime, it neutralizes all those lifetimes that you've had to deal with this. And a lot of times when I've done stuff for people, they'll say, I keep falling into this same pattern of self-doubt, or I'm not sure why I keep picking the same type of relationship. And some people pick the best relationships early on, and they don't have any problem with that. So it might be some other area that they're talking about. And I'm looking at their chart and I see it's a pattern that's followed them in that they're working on. But it doesn't mean they can't transform it. Our writing is all about transformation, how to transform something to make it work better for you, whatever it is. You know, sometimes it's a self-esteem issue. Sometimes it's a guilt issue. Sometimes it's just a hesitation of some sort. We all have, none of us are perfect. We all have something we brought in to work on. Um, I realized that a long time ago about myself, even. So, um, astrology is just a wonderful tool to identify things and not just identify it, but how to move in a direction that can help transform um, a behavior or even creativity. Maybe you want to just expand what you're doing. So there's a lot of beautiful things in it.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the for me what was like coming up from some of the things you're saying, like you got like your and you described this, Carmen, but you got like your fingerprints like sort of like they are, but we've also got these kind of like blueprints of like our sign and who we are. And from the work you're doing, it's just helping people become more self-aware of what's right for them and what they can do, because I know a lot of people out there can be very stuck about who am I, like you said, that kind of like there's certain points in life they can be, and I've definitely been there when you can get that very who am I, where am I going, and it sounds like this work you're doing really helps people get back more to themselves and do what they love.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very, very true. Um, any of us can get stuck
Mm,
in
Sure.
whatever we're doing, you know, like writer's block for a
mm,
writer,
Yeah.
um, or just a certain pattern we can fall into, a certain routine. And sometimes we're just trying to change that reality that we have. And sometimes it just takes a tweak, just a small tweak for somebody to see it. I have a book by Marianne Williamson, and I wanted to know what she meant by a miracle. And it was such a simple definition that I've really found true. She called it an altered perception. That's all it is. And we get
Ooh.
so many opportunities to do that. And like you were saying about resisting that altered perception,
Mhm.
um, it can feel like, a blockage in the body of energy when you're
Mhm.
doing that. Um, and then when you open up and try something different, maybe, I work with relationships too with people. You'll find some person who in the relationship communicates really well, and the partner is just quieter. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with them. They just have a different way of getting information across. So sometimes it's just working on, certain ways we do things. And
Yeah.
sometimes the person who doesn't talk too well just has to open up more and say what's on their mind to the person who's trying to pull it out of them.
Yeah.
So there's so many ways you can get that awareness through a chart, through what we're doing. It's it's not that it's a perfect way of doing things, but it's a tool.
Yeah.
And I've just find it a very successful one to really help people transform, basically. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, each sign has their strengths and has their resiliency and abilities to heal and overcome obstacles. Every sign is blessed with certain gifts. There's earth, air, fire, and water, the different elements. They each, earth signs are known to be more practical. They're more work focused, efficient, productive. They like structure, order, routine. They got the fire signs. They love passion. They love to feel alive. They like to take risks. They're a little bit more courageous, kind of impulsive. Love to, just drive in. And then you got air signs that are intellectual, innovative. They're more of the thinkers of the zodiac. And then you got the water signs that are the emotional, feeling, nurturing, all about relationships kind of people. So tapping into those strengths of each of the 12 signs, you can heal, transform, and become more resilient when you know your basic personality traits of your sun
Mm.
sign. When you know your moon sign, you'll understand your emotional nature, how you love, how you find comfort, security, happiness, joy is your moon. Your rising sign is how people perceive you and judge you, how you relate to stress. So when you tap into the strengths of your, top three, even if you don't know your whole chart, your sun, moon, and rising, and your north node, those are like really all you really need, to give you enough to really um, make some change and transform your life when you realize, okay, I know I'm good at this, or okay, maybe you're a worrier or you're really analytical and you overthink. It can be a negative thing at times, right? But if you tap into it, you can do a lot. You can get a lot done, and you can be really detail focused, and it can help you in a lot of areas of life. So using your traits, your basic personality as a strength and not a weakness. And that's important for the 12 zodiac signs. That's kind of what me and Bernie write about in our books, to teach those basics, to tap in and harness the energies of all 12 signs.
Mm.
yes. I was
Wow.
um I was raised by two earth signs. My mother
Yeah.
was a Taurus, my father a Virgo. And I know sometimes my dad looked at me like I was such an idealistic dreamer. I sort of wanted to be like my mother, who was a professional pianist. I couldn't care about a lot of things. I thought they were just a nuisance. So, but I'll tell you, that structure of an earth, growing up with earth signs,
Oh,
it
yeah.
really paid off in the
Yeah.
end because when I had to get focused on writing a book and finishing it, when I got my first book contract, it was in 1984 for a company called ACS Publications in San Diego. The editor there said, "Well, send me 3 chapters and an introduction. I'll know if we can use your book." Well, they took my book. Those days there was no email, so they sent me
Yeah.
a letter, offered me a contract about within a week.
Wow.
And I said, my God, my mind was blown. But then I was scared to death. I had never written a book. So I had to write, the rest of the book. But, that earthiness of growing up that way. And everybody has fire, air, earth, and water in their chart.
Yes.
Sometimes it's more predominant in an element, though. Like
Yes.
I'm heavy fire, heavy water
Yeah.
with some earth that I'm able to focus through. But
Yeah.
everybody has these elements that in their chart.
Mhm.
I've always was fascinated, like Carmen was mentioning Carl Jung. He mentioned, you know, about the elements in terms of functions, he called them. And what it is with these elements, like Carmen was saying, fire, which I have a lot of, is how you get up and do things. You make it happen.
Mm.
You're instinctively going to move on something.
Mhm.
Earth is how you structure, how you just stay grounded. Air is more intellectual, like Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius are the air signs. Um, and the water signs, we all have these elements. It's just that in some charts, you're going to find a more predominant element, or maybe two. Some people just have a nice balance. They have it well represented, all four of them, but they may still go to one or two more so. They're more comfortable with that. So, the whole thing about uh, it's amazing how much you can just see in just knowing the element of a person's sun sign, even.
Yeah.
So,
That's
I went on a radio show once years ago and I asked the sun sign element of each person. They work together,
mm,
DJs, and one was a fire sign, one was an earth sign. And I said, well, the one who was the earth sign, I said, you're probably the organizer. And the fire sign probably goes out there and gets, does all these different things to get, whether it's bring more business in or whatever. And they said, God, that hits the nail on the head. That's the way it works. So, um, there's just a lot of basic things you can get just from knowing a few
yeah.
things about a chart.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
pick up pretty quick. I can see a whole chart in about 45 seconds to a minute. It can take somebody else who's new to this, they're trying to learn it, um, and it may take them quite a while to be able to
Yeah.
master this because there's an awful lot in it. So I've taught a lot of people how to be an astrologer, and
Mhm.
Carmen has done her fair share of doing that too. And it's 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 difficult in one way, but not so difficult in another because
Yeah.
everything really fits together in a chart. It's
Right.
amazing when you start to see it. And even if somebody isn't going to learn it, but they just want to get their chart done, they're going to get a feeling pretty quick when they get it done by a good astrologer. There's so much in there that can
Yeah.
help you. Um, how to, remember when I said I was so shy into my teens, even, it wasn't into like I turned 20, 21. When I started to see where the confidence was in my chart, that's where I was actually instinctively going there. But I met the right people to bring it out of me, by
Mhm.
a new location. So your element can even get tapped into by the people you know.
Mhm.
Mm.
Sometimes people are holding us back because we're
Mm.
attached to somebody that may be negating us all the time. I've
Mhm.
told people you need to make a move of some sort if you're in that kind of situation. It doesn't mean you have to dislike that person, but it might mean you might need to move into a new territory to be around people that are more positive, that are helping you uplift you.
Yeah.
Um, it's amazing what you can see through this. It's like a lens to look through when you look at a chart. Sometimes I almost think of it as it's almost like an MRI, going inside a person. I've had them done before. And
Mhm.
it is a blueprint, probably the
Yeah.
easiest way to say it,
Mm.
about so many things about us.
Yeah.
It's just a fascinating subject. It's kept me in it for over 50 years. That's a long time,
Mm.
especially
Yeah.
for a wild fire sign.
Sagittarius.
Yeah, really.
I
Yeah,
love
it's quite a
I
journey.
I love the passion behind it. It's awesome. And I really like the point you were making there about different people could bring out like different elements in us, or actually pull up the right people. It sounds like, or I know sometimes the right people. Well, I'm around the right people. I mean, I'm going to
Yeah,
California in 3 weeks to be with one of my communities. I love them. We bring the best out of each other,
yeah,
Yeah.
and I have people like that in my life. And some people in my life are not bad people. They're great people, but they just I don't feel my energy or who I am as much with them. Um,
Yes.
but it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I like what you were saying. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, find your right people like you did, Bernie.
Yeah. God, it's so important. Um, it really is. I mean, it's essential. And
Mm,
sometimes we just need maybe a push, to just do that. That's what often people they contact me. They don't want to be they don't want me to be Pollyanna and say, oh, it's just wonderful what you're doing right now. Maybe it isn't. I mean, they're telling me it isn't. So why would I want to say, well, it's just totally wonderful? But I'm not there to say everything
Yeah.
you've done is wrong. It just might mean you need to tweak it. You need to make a move of some sort if you're that unhappy. And maybe it won't happen overnight. But if it's a person doing that, or maybe the type of people you're hanging around, maybe you do need to find a group of people or a new relationship. If it's a love relationship,
mm,
um, of some sort, that'll help you. I don't try to push people out of what they're in, but I just try, they want me to point out maybe what is going on in their life right now, if they want a current time period reading. Sometimes people just want to know their birth chart, like the basic thing about it. Like, what does it say is my purpose in this life? Some people feel more, they come to me because they feel more spiritual. They want to intensify that somehow.
Mhm.
I used to have a business guy come to me. It's happened more than once. He didn't want me to talk about any of that kind of stuff. He just wanted business cycles, and that was
Mhm.
fine with me. He
Mhm.
just wanted me to help him that way. So I kind of go with what people need, what they're asking me for. But a lot of people now are really soul searching for
Yeah.
something deeper. Um, they seem to want to grow in certain ways. So it's kind of exciting for me to see the people that I'm working with, growing in the way they want to grow. Whether it doesn't have to necessarily be they've got a lot of issues. Um, they just want to make that next step toward, you could say, even more clarity or a new
mm,
direction of some sort. Sometimes people just want a new hobby, just something to put their life into.
Mhm.
mm,
Maybe they're a musician that works in a bank all day, but they've got all this talent and they just want to, manifest it somehow. Maybe get with other musicians. So there's so many ways astrology can just help a person just see a better path, if they want that, if they're looking for that. Um, Sometimes it's just going more toward the light rather than staying in the darkness if you're having a dark time.
Mhm.
mm,
Um, Sometimes you can't flip a switch.
Mhm.
I used to have a psychiatrist come to me, but he had a depression problem. And he said the best thing I ever did for him was to tell him the cycles when he needed to get back on a medication. It was always Saturn cycles, because Saturn doesn't always mean you're depressed, but
Yeah.
some people who have trouble with depression,
Yeah.
Saturn seems to be involved in it. So
Mhm.
that's what I mean. Sometimes it's just however you can help somebody through this,
Yeah.
um, is the main deal I found. So I
yeah.
tell people when they're first learning this, I did an interview, for Italian for in Italy, a Zoom interview. It was for an astrology event they were having, and they wanted to interview 20th century astrologers because I go back. And at the end, the interviewer asked me, "What's the best thing you could tell a person wanting to learn this?" I said, "The first thing they need to remember, they have to be patient because there's a lot of details in this, and you don't have to manifest every detail when you're doing a chart for somebody. You're just trying to hone in to the cycles and the things that a person is wanting to know. And that takes experience. It doesn't happen, that
Yeah.
quick.
Mm,
But Carmen and I, we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
We've done thousands of charts, and that
Yeah.
really helps you start to see how this works when you've done that many. Um,
Yeah.
wow.
Sometimes you still see something new when
Yeah.
the person comes to see you. You go, God, they're using it that way.
Yeah.
And it's
Or
possible. There's
or
so many
it's
different ways to use these things.
or
Um,
it's good if you have a skeptic. and someone that's like astrology is not real, if you do, that's the quickest way to turn a skeptic is to do their birth chart, I
Yeah,
think.
it is.
Because they're like, wow, like, how did you know this? I'm like, this is why astrology is amazing. And so I've had a lot of people change their minds once they were skeptics until I looked at their chart and told them some things. And they're like, there's no way you would know that. I'm like, it's the map of your soul. I'm just validating and interpreting it and the energy, um, but like Bernie said, most people, when they come to us, I know for me, they always want to know what's my destiny, what's my soul mission, and usually relationship issues, things like that. Like who's my best partner, who's my best match, or I'm having trouble in my marriage, health issues. A lot of people come and want to know what's going on with my health or my career, but what's my destiny and why am I here is probably the biggest question I get when I do a chart for someone. And that's the nodes of the moon, really. I mean, a big part of it. And so that's what, Bernie and I, write the nodes books and the past life things and try to connect that in because I mean that's why we're here is to learn. It's like a school. And that's what I believe, and that we kind of choose when we're born and we choose our chart and we chose to experience certain things, certain energies, and we have certain gifts. And it's nice just to have someone validate, hey, you're not crazy. This is, that's why I loved astrology because I could not, no one could explain to me why I saw an orb, why I dreamed things that would happen, why I felt people's emotions, and I was very empathic. No, I wasn't raised to be like that. I was just born this way. And astrology validated why I was the way I was and the experiences that I had. And it was so powerful. It made me more confident. It made me trust my intuition. It made me know, wow, this is me, and it's okay to have these experiences. And so, there's all the different houses. I love the eighth and 12th house. That's my obsession. I do a lot of research on those two houses. People that have planets there, often Pisces, Scorpio, they have a lot of spiritual experiences, unexplained mystical experience, and things like that. Thousands of people. I realize I'm not the only one. I've looked at thousands of charts. They have the same experiences I had. They have the same placements. So you start seeing it. It's research. It's science. We can validate
Mm.
things.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, you
Mm.
start doing this, you realize it is 1% amazing and deep and powerful tool of transformation. It's really amazing. I love it. And I love
Mm.
writing with Bernie. We've known each other a long, long time. He was, in the Facebook groups is where we met, and he encouraged me to write, and I wouldn't have wrote my first book without Bernie encouraging me to put it out there. So now we write books together. So it's been a lot of fun.
That's amazing. I love that. Then you
Yeah.
got the
Yeah.
how you got that journey, and yeah, it sounds like for any individual who's like, they don't need to have it like all figured out and understood all the science when they come to you. It's just
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
about helping them kind of like understand a little bit by little bit about
Yeah.
themselves, and it sounds
Yeah.
like there's a lot of that in the books and also in the work, the further work you're providing. So, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of on that note, I know you can go like so much more into detail on the book. There's loads on your website. But yeah, just for the listener to like get in touch with you or get your book, where's the best place to find your book? And where else can they find you?
Well, Amazon definitely has it.
Mm,
Um, I believe it's in Amazon UK. They have several outlets for it.
Hmm.
Um, in the
Barnes and
US, Barnes and Noble
yeah,
Noble.
also carries it. Um,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we am I missing something, Carmen? I know
The
that that's
the
two that
yeah,
just came to my mind.
yeah, books. I mean, if you just Google our book, Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon, it'll come up. There's
Yeah,
a few
that's true.
places like in Australia, because it's a UK publisher. There are some UK places that have it on online bookstores, maybe
Yeah,
smaller bookstores
yeah,
in
that's
England.
true.
England and in America, it's on Amazon, of course, Barnes and
Sure.
Noble. And then our newest book releases in November, Astrology Zodiac Archetypes with Collective Inc. out of UK. Both our books are with the UK that we wrote together. And Both are out there. I mean, the newest one will be out there real soon. Now, it's not searchable yet. I've been looking every day. So any
Yeah,
day
so
now.
have I.
Takes a little while to get it in the systems where it comes up
Yeah.
on Amazon and stuff, but the cover's done and it's ready for publish. We have a publication data. I think it's right after Bernie's birthday. Was it November 25th, Bernie? I
Yeah,
think it was.
November 25th,
Yeah. Yeah.
day after I
Yeah.
was born. A good
Yeah.
birthday present.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Your new book's out.
Yeah.
Love, love
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we're positive type
Yeah.
people. We're positive type astrologers.
We're
You
idealists,
know,
Bernie.
I have clients
Idealistic.
that really want they'll tell me right up front, I want the real thing. I don't want you to sugarcoat this. If I'm not in the right place, tell me. And I'll tell them because they want clarity,
Mm,
Yeah.
basically. So it's just interesting to interact with so many different types of people,
Yeah.
young, older.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's a lot of fun. And
And
I'm
we
always
both love
learning
people, so
something. I feel like it's a never-ending learning. Why I never get bored with astrology because there's always something new or something different you learn. You can spend your whole life studying astrology and still learn something. There's
yeah.
so many types, so many things about it that
Yeah.
you can learn and I mean, like relocation, medical astrology, synastry, relationship compatibility, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's business, stock market, all kinds of stuff people use astrology for.
Yeah.
Um, it's pretty
True.
neat.
mm.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
S-
neat.
Such a yeah, unique gift to have that you're giving to the world with that. So yeah, I know what we're gonna do is link up your books in the show notes below. So and then your website as well. So yeah, listener for listening, you can find more of this work to check it out and find out more about yourself and jump into this fascinating area. So Bernie and Carmen, I want to say a massive thank you for everything you've shared today and all the work you're doing.
Thank
No, thanks for
you.
having us. Really
Thank
appreciate it.
Awesome. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.